Hey everyone, my name is Britt. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I work for the Pikes Peak Library District, and today I'm going to show you how to make a version of the Pleiades Constellation with a light up LED light. So this will be some really pretty artwork, some wall work for you. All right, so before I show you how to make the LED constellation, the first thing that I want to do is talk a little bit about simple circuits and what they are. So I am going to, in the description, I'm going to link to more detailed resources about simple circuits in case you want to learn a little bit more about them. But we're going to do something very, very basic today. Your most basic circuits basically have three components. So a circuit is just what it sounds like, right? It's a circle. So it's normally a loop of energy. So what you need is you need something essentially to be that loop, right? So the conductor of the energy, or the electrons in this case. So we've got copper wire, which is going to be our conductor. And then you're going to need a power source if you want something to light up or do something, right? And that's going to be our battery. And so that's going to provide the electrons. They're going to flow through our conductor, the copper wire, into the light, which is this LED here. And if you know anything about batteries and lights and things like that, batteries have a positive and negative side, and so do these little LEDs. So you can kind of see here, and I am going to show you this again later, but you can kind of see here that there is a long end and a short end to the LED, and the long end is going to be the positive end and the short end is going to be the negative end. And then when we're looking at our battery, there's like a plus and then a minus on it. So that makes that really easy to find. So I am going to now kind of zoom in on my hands so you can see what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and get started with making. Okay, so these are the supplies you're gonna need to make this. So you're gonna need, we have cardstock here. It's not quite like 65 pounds, but we've got cardstock, scissors, we've got these little LED lights. I got all of these three things I got off of Amazon, along with the copper tape and the 3-volt battery. I'm also, you might notice these little star stickers. These are like, I don't know, I associate them with like kindergarten and my teacher giving me a star for being good, which if you know me, you can probably tell it was both often and not often. Okay, so let's see. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to make our constellation. So if you are doing this as a take and make, which means you can go to the library and pick up the supplies, you will have this piece of paper. If not, just Google the Pleiades Constellation and kind of draw out your own. All right, so then what we're gonna do is we are gonna take the stars and we are going to put them, these little stars here, we're gonna put them everywhere there is a 4-pointed star. So on all of these marks except for this one here. And this one is the brightest star in the constellation. It's the Alcyone. And again, I'm probably pronouncing all this wrong. If you know how to actually say these words, please tell me in the comments. But yeah, the Alcyone star here. And if you're not familiar with the Pleiades constellation, it's the 7 sisters from Greek mythology. Titan, who is a Atlas, who is a Titan, who like holds the world on his shoulders. If you're familiar with, you've probably seen that. Like if you've seen the cover of Atlas Shrugged, that's kind of what they're referencing there. But these are his daughters. And so each of the stars is named after one of his daughters. And the brightest star in the constellation is Alcyone. And so that is the one that I will be turning into a light up LED. Of course, you're welcome to be creative and kind of turn whichever one you want into an LED. But what you're gonna do is you're just gonna peel off these little star stickers, and then you're gonna place them over the stars on this constellation. So like I said, I've already drawn it for you. I printed it for you. You wouldn't want me to draw it for you. That would be the ugliest thing you've ever seen. Straight lines are hard, y'all. So go ahead and put all your stars where they belong, and I'll see you back here. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully your stars are where they're supposed to be. So you should have something that looks a little bit like this. And now we're ready to like get into the actual LED portion of the tutorial. So what you're gonna do, what we're gonna end up doing is we are going to, we're gonna put a little puncture, and you can do that using your pin. If you did pick up supplies from the library, you are gonna wanna supply your own pin and scissors or pencil or any sort of writing utensil. But what you're basically gonna do is you're gonna poke a hole in this star here, so where the Alcyone star is. And you might notice that I'm using a slightly different tool. This is because I like to knit on a loom, and this is what I use for that. So it's nice and sharp and it works. So if you or someone else in your family knits on a loom, that's a great thing to do. So cool, so I've got that marked off. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fold over a piece of the top, so that I know I can kind of start to plan where I want to put my copper wire. So just fold a tiny little piece so it looks something like this, okay? So just a little fold here, so you've got something that looks like this, and you've got your little hole. Okay, cool. So I don't know if you remember before, but I did tell you that the longer side of your LED is gonna be the positive side. So just notice that when you're pushing it through. So that's kind of why we pre-punctured, so we could put our LED light in from the top here. If you don't do it that way, if you push it up from the bottom, you're probably gonna tear the paper. Not the end of the world, but it won't look quite as pretty. Okay, so I can pretty clearly see that this is the long end and that's the short end. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this side as the positive side and this side is the negative side so that I know. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna come up here and I'm gonna mark the positive and the negative as well. Because basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the positive conducting tape end here, and then I'm gonna have the negative conducting tape end up there, so that then I can just put the battery, if I don't throw it around, then I can put the battery, the positive side down here, so it's only touching the positive tape, and then the negative side here, so it's only touching the negative tape, and then my LED should light up. That's the idea anyway. So once I'm at this point, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to separate the little wires that are coming out of the LED, and I'm gonna lay them as flat as I can against the paper. So it should kind of look more or less like that. And then we're ready to add the tape. So if you are getting this as a take and make from the library, you didn't get a whole spool of tape. Libraries are not made of money. So I gave you probably a few short pieces of tape. So I'll kind of show you kind of like this. And then what you'll do, so it'll be like a shorter piece. What you'll do, because you may mess up, I wanted to give you room to mess up. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the copper tape and you're gonna put it over the LED wire, and then you're gonna have it end where you put your kind of little positive sign up at the top. So like so. Alrighty. So there's our positive tape. And now we're gonna do the negative side. Alrighty. So if you're not, the reason we chose the Pleiades Constellation is because our All Pikes Peak Reads pick for 2020 is this beautiful book called All the Impossible Things. And now I'm just doing the same thing with the negative side. And there is a beautiful part where the main character, whose name is Red, and she's in like a foster home, and her foster mom kind of bond a little bit over the Pleiades Constellation. All right, and so that is our negative tape. All right, so now, basically we wanna make sure we've got this here, and then we can, so that we can get, I probably should move this over to the side a little bit. I can pull this up, and then I'm gonna kind of angle it over here. Alrighty, so we're gonna have the positive side here and the negative side there, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's lighting up, which is good, that's what we want. So if we want it to light up, then if we want it to stay lighting up, then what we do is we can take the binder clip and we can clip the wires together. Okay, Cool, and now you have it. And then if you're like, oh, that looks a little weird, because it sure does. Notice when I move, oh no, it's not lighting up anymore. Oh, there it is. When you adjust the wires, and if it's not lighting up at first, flip it over. You can adjust where the tape is. You can adjust where the wires are. You can take the tape off entirely and reapply it. Like I said, if you're doing this as a take and make, I'm giving you a little bit of extra, but that's it. You've just made your first circuit. Now, if you wanted to add more lights and things like that, it does get a little bit more complicated, and it does get a little bit more fussy, but now you've learned the basics of circuitry and you've made a really beautiful version of the Pleiades constellation that lights up. So if you want it to not light up, because this battery is not going to last forever, so you can hang it on your wall. And I took a couple of pictures of this, but you can hang it on your wall using the binder clip and a nail. But if you don't want it to be on all the time, all you have to do is just shift the battery over a little. Because if it's not touching where it's supposed to be touching, like so, it won't light up. See how the light's not up? So if you wanted to hang it on your wall and only light it up sometimes, you can do that just super easily by moving the battery position. And that's it. That is how you make an LED light up card.